Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Nate here. And the lands of Skyrim can be a dangerous place. Littered with bandits, necromancers, dragons, you name it, it's here and wants to murder you to death. Thankfully, The Elder Scrolls V comes loaded with a number of characters who are willing to watch your back, sometimes in exchange for a price or a favor. But no matter, their company can make dungeons feel a lot safer. Each of these potential companions have their own distinct personalities, backstories, and combat styles, though some are much more unique than the rest. So today we'll be taking a look at 5 intriguing followers you shouldn't forget in The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Starting off, our first ally in all his four-legged glory can be encountered when wandering the forests of Hjalmarch. Here, a stray dog by the name of Miko will approach the Dragonborn, before barking a few times and darting off into the brush. Clearly, the pup wants you to follow him. Should you do so, after a short run through some bushes, you'll find the canine has led you to a small abandoned shack. From the outside, it actually looks quite cozy and serene, but the interior of the building will tell a rather depressing tale. Inside, lying on a bed, will be the corpse of an unnamed Nord, and not too far away, on a nightstand, his journal. It reads, quote, "Well, after all my years living in these woods, it looks like the rock joint will finally be the end of me. I guess that's fine. All my friends are long dead. The only one left is poor Miko. He was always a loyal companion, and I know he'll be able to take care of himself. I hope someday I'll see him again." End quote. This unfortunate guy contracted rock joint, a lethal disease in Tamriel, and had no one who could take care of his dog after he was gone. So he had hoped the animal could just fend for himself. The poor pup must have approached you, hoping the Dovahkiin could be of some help. Sadly, while we can't bring back Miko's old master, we can volunteer to become his new one, and offer the canine the chance to join us in our adventures, which it'll gladly accept. As a follower, Miko's dialogue is rather limited, as you may imagine, but he's a useful ally, particularly early in the game, essential to everything except yourself, and leveling with you up until you've reached level 25. And once you've decided to upgrade, simply send him home and make him a family pet if you have the Hearthfire DLC. So, Miko may have lost one master, but you can ensure the good boy will be in good hands. Next on our list, speaking of furry friends, this companion can be met at the College of Winterhold. Jzargo is a Khajiit student who arrived shortly before you did, with a love for all things destruction magic. After completing a short quest for him, wherein you help the feline test out one of his fire scrolls, he'll offer himself as a follower, and my gosh, is he not amazing. Probably my favorite companion of the vanilla game, Jzargo is one of only 2 followers with no maximum level cap. Instead, he levels with the player no matter what, making him one of the most effective in the entire game. So if you want to get to level 80, go for it. Jzargo will follow you there. The student's passion for destruction magic rubs off in his combat, where he pretty much exclusively uses destruction spells in conjunction with the occasional ward or restoration ability. But the real draw of Jzargo is not his effectiveness in fighting off your foes, but instead his personality, as his dialogue and overall character are what really define him as a must-have follower. The Khajiit is enormously competitive and overconfident to the point of arrogance, but he takes it so extreme, it just ends up being more hilarious than anything else.
Jzargo can learn magic from these men and elves, but they cannot learn to be as dashing as he. Jzargo comes out on top. If anyone sneaks up on us, I'll smell them coming. Or I might not. We will see.
Jzargo's unique combination of an adorable personality and excellent skills in battle have made him my preferred go-to, and he seems to be an overall fan favorite as well. So hopefully, the next time you're near Skyrim's magical university, you'll think about stopping by and enlisting the company of this fire spell-loving feline. Coming at number 3, meet Teldrin Sero. He's a Dunmer sellsword living in Raven Rock's Retching Netch Corner Club, where he spends his days sampling the tavern's mead and bread while sitting by a warm fire. Quite the life. Should you find yourself with 500 more gold coins than you know what to do with, one can hire the Dark Elf to watch your back. The only mercenary on this list, Teldrin's backstory is among the coolest you'll hear, and he'll tell it to you if one asks after hiring him. Apparently, he's been a soldier for hire for quite a long time. His most recent client, prior to yourself, is what Mr. Sero called a true Nord. Someone who donned war paint, the traditional battle kit, the whole 9 yards. This employer brought him to Skyrim, where they hunted all sorts of bandits and criminals, seemingly just for fun. Teldrin claims his Nord boss had an insatiable bloodlust, but paid very handsomely. One day after clearing out a ruined fort near Whiterun, the duo spotted a single bandit fleeing in the distance. For days they tracked him, and after around half a week, they arrived before the biggest bandit camp either had ever laid eyes on. The Dunmer says at this point, the Nord turned to him with a massive grin. He wanted to attack it, but Teldrin knew better. He knew he would die if he took such a chance. So, at that point he turned away and headed back to Solstheim. It's unclear what happened to the boss, though I suspect he met his end there. While in your service, the Dark Elf will level with you up to 60, and fights as a spell sword, combining his expansive knowledge of destruction and conjuration spells with the might of an elven blade, to truly be a useful friend to have at your side. Something interesting is that while working for you, one of the more general quotes he may casually utter is this.
I wonder what became of Saint Geob. I met him once, you know?
This, of course, references Jib, the first character we got a chance to meet in the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind as we arrived in Vardenfell on that prison ship. In Skyrim's Dragonborn DLC, we were also given an opportunity to speak to his spirit in the Soul Cairn. So, we do know what happened to Saint Jib. He died and was soul-trapped, though we can't tell Teldrin that. Notably though, is that if he is telling the truth when he states he met Saint Jib once, that would imply that the mercenary is well over a couple hundred years old, as Jib died all the way back at the end of the Third Era, 201 years before the events of Skyrim. So, our friend for hire here must be quite the experienced fellow, and for just one easy payment of 500 septims, you can take advantage of all of that combat wisdom. For 4th spot, we have Eric. He's a young Nord who can be found living out his days in the small village of Rorikstead, where he tends crops and helps his father Moralki run the Frostfruit Inn, the family business. Upon first meeting him, Eric doesn't offer himself as a companion to the Dragonborn. Not yet, anyways. Instead, he complains of his lack of fulfillment with Rorikstead. He's lived in this boring old town all his life, and knows nothing but planting and serving mead. He wants to go out and see the world as an adventurer, but his father won't let him. The Dragonborn can then volunteer to try and speak to Moralki, and encourage the old man to let his son go, to which Eric will gladly accept your assistance. The father will be resistant at first, claiming his son would need armor, and he can't afford that at the moment, and it'd be dangerous, and all these other excuses. At which point, you can either persuade or intimidate him into agreement, or just straight up offer him some gold for his son's armor. However you go about changing the old man's mind, he'll ultimately promise to visit Whiterun's market sometime soon, and buy his son some good equipment. From there, you can tell Eric the good news, and nothing happens. Eric thanks you for your help, and that's that. No reward, no cool hidden secret to discover, you're just thanked and sent off. But luckily, for those who are patient, a bit of a reward does await. As if you leave Rorikstead and return after a few in-game days or longer, you'll find Eric sitting in his father's inn. Now in a full set of iron armor, and with his name changed to read Eric the Slayer. When spoken to, he'll once again thank the Dragonborn for all your help, and state that he's just about ready to go adventuring, but lacks any real idea of where to start. Eric will suggest that you hire him, promising that what he lacks in experience, he makes up for 10 times over in courage. Leveling with you up to 40, and with a potential 100 two-handed skill, Eric is a surprisingly strong follower, despite being new to the whole battle thing. He also boasts an array of dialogue he'll say throughout your travels, that reflects his level of excitement and wonder.
This new armor fits me like a glove. I feel like I can take on all of Skyrim. It just feels right somehow. Having this new life as an adventurer. It's what I was meant to do. At first I thought I'd miss farming. I guess I've had my fill of it because I don't miss it at all.
What's more, Eric's inclusion as a character in Skyrim is actually a tribute by Bethesda to Eric West, a major Elder Scrolls fan who went by the alias Emok the Slayer on online forums. During Skyrim's development in 2011, Eric got to tour Bethesda Game Studios through the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and evidently, the developers were so impressed with his knowledge for and love of the Elder Scrolls franchise that they decided to immortalize him in it. Unfortunately, before Skyrim released, Eric passed away as a result of his battle with cancer, but his character lives on. And finally, last on our list, I give you Erendur. He's a Dunmer priest of Mara who can be first encountered in Dawnstar's Windpeak Inn, attempting to calm the fears of some local townsfolk. You see, the city of Dawnstar has recently been swept by a strange phenomenon. The people have been getting horrible nightmares lately, and no one really seems to know why. Erendur, being a priest and all, has naturally become someone the citizens look to for guidance, but he assures them it's nothing and will soon pass. Probably. However, simply speak to him for yourself, and within his first couple of sentences, the Dark Elf will confess that he knows what's really going on, and the stakes are very high. Admitting that the source of the nightmares is Vermina, Daedric Prince of, well, nightmares. But also promising that he has a plan to solve this problem, and will request that you accompany him to Nightcaller Temple, an old hub for the Daedric God's worshippers, so he might execute on it. This kickstarts the quest, Waking Nightmare, which would also be a pretty great band name. Long story short, it's essentially just a really interesting dungeon crawl. You and Erendur fight your way through a number of recently awoken worshippers of Vermina, as well as some accompanying orcs. During your great crusade, Erendur will eventually break down and confess that he was once a worshipper of Vermina at this very temple himself, but eventually fled the cult, and as the years piled on, he began to accumulate so much regret he decided he needed to change his life. So Erendur dedicated himself to Mara, a much more benevolent god, and pledged that he would put an end to this cult's evil plans, once and for all. Towards the end of the quest, Erendur will begin to perform a ritual that will release Dawnstar from the Daedric god's grasp. But you'll be given a choice. Vermina will suggest that you kill Erendur before he's able to complete this ritual. If you do so, she promises you the Skull of Corruption, an excellent reward. Or you can just allow him to do his thing and save the town. Either way, once you've made your decision, the quest will come to an end. Though, if you side with the reformed Dark Elf, well, he won't be able to give you the Skull of Corruption or anything quite as cool. As a reward, he will offer himself as a follower to you whenever you call upon him. While in your service, he can get up to level 50, has a preference for Firebolt and Flame spells, but also uses the occasional leveled mace here and there. His dialogue, by all means, is far more serious than Eric's or Jzargo's, but it's still really intriguing, as throughout your travels, he'll slowly reveal more and more about his past.
I was recruited as an acolyte of Vermina as a young elf. I had no real childhood to speak of. We weren't permitted to socialize. I was a student at the Bard's College for a short time, until my affiliation with Vermina was discovered. I haven't been back to Solitude since. When I was a young acolyte of Vermina, I paid my dues in a shrine located within the catacombs of a fort in Cyrodiil.
Overall, if you're looking for a travel buddy with as much depth and personality as some of the game's main characters, Erendur will do just fine. And with that, we are going to wrap up. My top 5 followers you definitely shouldn't pass up in The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Which of these companions is your own personal favorite? And what recruitable NPCs do you think deserve a spot on this list that I didn't cover? Leave a comment down below. As always, like ratings are very much appreciated. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everyone.